Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 129, and stay tuned. I got some good stuff for you. Hey everybody, how are you today? It's a rainy day in St. Louis, but a gorgeous day. We're getting ready for fall. I love it, I love it, I love it. And I got to tell you this before I start because it's sort of funny. This is my second podcast today because the first podcast that I started doing on the exact same subject that I'm going to do right now, something happened to my recorder, and the whole time I was talking, nothing happened. So I am repeating the podcast I already did that you didn't listen to, and I want to stay focused, and I want to work with clarity. And I have to tell you, for a minute, I was really frustrated and started saying a lot of curse words. But then I reorganized my mind, and I figured, this is what I thought, I figured I must not have said what I needed to tell you the first time, and I needed to reorganize my thoughts before I do the second podcast because it wasn't exactly what you needed to hear. So that's how I'm thinking when I do the second podcast, is that the first podcast was not near as good as this one's going to be. And it makes me feel better immediately. So just a little bit of how you think about what you're thinking about, and that a lot of times you can change it in that moment. Anyway, for today, I want to talk to you about letters. Again, I've gotten so many great letters from you guys, and unfortunately, I can't answer them all anymore because there's so many, but I try to answer some of them on the podcast when I think other people might have the exact same issue or might really relate to it. So I got a letter recently that I think many of you will relate to. And one of the reasons that I want to read it to you today is because I also just did a podcast recently on weight is a circumstance. And that podcast was from another listener who wrote me a really funny letter, but also about how she has been inspired by my tools and how it's helping her so much. But she also talked a lot about the scale in a very negative way, as if it was her enemy. And so basically my whole podcast was on weight is just a circumstance, and it's really what you think about that scale that is causing you all of your problems. And that's what needs to be cleaned up. The scale is not a problem. So I addressed that. And if you want to go back and listen to that podcast, it's called Weight is a Circumstance. So today I want to read you another letter, and I'm very inspired by her letter and very heartfelt from her. But I also want to talk a little bit about the scale once again, because she mentions it in her letter also. And I think you might see some similarities. So I'm going to comment on her letter at the end, and I might make a few comments on it in between and just answer it as I go. So just bear with me as I read this letter, knowing that I'm hoping you'll get lots of little nuggets out of this and a few of my comments at the same time. Okay. So this letter is from Laura, and I'm just going to read it as she wrote it. And I may say a few things in between, but basically I'm going to save my comments to the end. Hey, Dr. Deb, I just discovered your podcast and am now an avid follower and listener. I started at the beginning of your podcast determined to make some changes in my eating. I knew I was out of control, and I also understood why. My sweet mom passed away suddenly in May. We were very close, and I'm grieving that. That occurrence also led me to practically living with my 90-year-old dad, who also has dementia. So you can imagine the grief and stress I've been in, eating my feelings. Even though grief is not a food group. She put that in parentheses with a little smiley face, because I've done a lot of podcasts on anger is not a food group, disappointment's not a food group, and she's absolutely right. Grief is not a food group either. So she says, even though grief is not a food group, what I did turn to, well, was food and prayer. I knew I was out of control. I'm also 56 and in menopause, so of course weight packs on easily. And I want to interject right here, Laura, on your letter when you say, because I'm in menopause, weight packs on easily. I want you to be very, very aware that that is just a thought that you think about menopause, and that when you think that thought, it probably makes you feel hopeless because you're in menopause and you can't do anything about it? Just thoughts about that. Menopause is menopause, and the thought that weight packs on easily, I have a feeling, actually might help anybody that thinks that pack on weight easily. So you might want to watch that. Just little food for thought, quote unquote. Anyway, it got so bad that nothing fit anymore. I felt sluggish and I knew I had to get a grip on myself. I found your podcast and I'm applying your strategies and have started a food journal. I rate my hunger and feelings. I notice my thoughts about food and have even incorporated a little joy food when I want it. I really started paying attention to my thoughts about eating. And that was the most fascinating thing, to actually observe my thoughts and what I said to myself about food. It's the same old lies all the time. Little by little, I am breaking the cycle. And this past week, I have not had one binging episode, not one. Oh, I heard the voice when Dad went to bed and I was by myself. But I decided I didn't have to act on the voice. I could make a better choice. I could form a new pathway in my brain. Laura, that is so good that you caught that. And that is exactly, for all of you listeners, that is how urges are created. They're created by the mind. Her mind was just saying, Dad went to bed. There's nobody here. I'm all by myself. We can have a party. A party meaning overeating or whatever, right? And just filling up and really hurting yourself. And she caught it. She observed it. And she made a new and a better choice. And I will tell you what, that is how you create new pathways in your brain. So very, very good, Laura. So anyway, she goes on to say, I still miss my mom, but I know the storm eating will not bring her back or even make me feel better. Again, such an awareness, Laura, that you realize that all the food in the world won't bring her back or change her feelings. So good. I am experiencing my feelings as they occur. After all, they only last 90 seconds. So beautiful again, Laura. And I've said in many podcasts that if you let a feeling pass through you, Jill Bolte Taylor has actually done research on it and says that a feeling that passes through you only lasts 90 seconds. She goes on to say, I'm practicing mindful eating and listening to my body and my thoughts. This is a whole new experience for me. I haven't weighed yet, and that's okay. I just started my journey, and it's not all about the weight. I want food to move into its rightful place and not control my life anymore. Thank you, Dr. Deb. Thank you for your compassion, your advice, your techniques, your wisdom, your patience with people who are struggling, and for your devotion to helping people. I will continue to listen and learn. What a blessing you have been to me as I begin a whole new way of thinking about food. With love and appreciation, Laura. Thank you, Laura. I really think that's a beautiful letter, and she has a lot of nuggets in here that I want to impart to you. If you haven't really caught it, is how she's realizing that those feelings, and my guess is that for a lot of her life, she ate her feelings, which is what a lot of you do. And that's why I wrote so many podcasts about disappointment's not a food group, anger is not a food group, sadness is not a food group. They're not food groups to be eaten. Feelings are feelings that are meant to be felt. And Laura is absolutely right that when you let a feeling pass through you, when you let an urge actually pass through you, 90 seconds and it's gone. And I think she's starting to realize this, and it's really starting to empower her. And what a better time to learn this when she's at her really sadness because of what she's going through. I don't think I would change her grieving or her sadness, which is a lot of what I talk to you all about, is that we're going to have feelings that don't feel good. I am not teaching you to change all your thoughts so that you feel good 100% of the time. I am just teaching you to tell you that your thoughts create your feelings. And that I think as a human being, our feelings are 50-50, 50% good and 50% bad. But what you need to always know is that your feelings come from your thoughts, and your thoughts are choices. So whatever your thought is that is creating a negative feeling, like the reason that you're thinking it. And I think when it comes to Laura, this is a perfect example of grieving. I think she likes her reasons, her thoughts about missing her mom, and that she misses her. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And it does cause sadness and it does cause all of those feelings. And to be able to be there and to feel them and not eat them actually helps her move forward faster, which I think she actually is. And she's realizing that. And that is feeling good that at the same time that she's grieving her mother, she's actually taking care of herself. What a fantastic thing. I'm so proud of you, Laura. Now, the other thing that I want to address to all of you right now is what she said about the weight and the scale. This is very, very similar to the letter that I got a couple of podcasts ago that I read to you. And she says she's not weighing herself right now because it's not just about the weight. But once again, I'm wondering what she's thinking about that scale. Why can't you weigh yourself? What's the big problem with weighing yourself? Whatever the number says, so what? The scale is just a tool. If you're really paying attention and wanting to learn from your body, then the scale is a tool. If you're not eating your feelings, if you're really paying attention, the scale will just show you a number and you get to think anything you want about it. But my guess is, once again, the scale means something negative, so you're not getting on it. And yes, I totally agree with you, Laura, that it's not all about the weight. But you know what? If you have extra weight on your body, it is about the weight. And it is about the number. And it is about what you're thinking. And it is about what you're feeling. And all of those things take the same amount of focus. There's nothing wrong with focusing on it as long as you realize it's a lot of different components. It's not just one thing. It's not just the scale, and it's not just your thoughts and your feelings, right? So the scale just gives you information, just like when you become the observer of your mind and you see your thoughts. Like you wouldn't say to yourself, well, I'm just not going to look at my thoughts, or I'm just not going to feel my feelings. Is almost the same thing as I'm just not going to look at my thoughts around the scale. So my actual advice is, once again, is make friends with the scale. The scale is just a tool. It just gives you a number, and deal with the thoughts about that number. They're just as important as the thoughts that you think about anything else. I hope that helps all of you again, because that scale, that pesky little scale, just keeps coming in here in all of these letters as if it's a nemesis. Like, oh, I'm just not looking at that. I'm just not going to think about that. I just want to think about this. So as you keep going on your journey, please pay attention to this. And also, as I've told you in the past, I'm up to 183 reviews now. I'm so excited. I want to get to 200. So you guys, if you have not reviewed this podcast, and Laura, I know you did, thank you very much. Most of you, when you write letters to me, you don't review the podcast. But please note that if you're writing me a letter, please put it in iTunes too, because this is how we spread the word. And I love that you're all spreading the word. I love that you're writing letters. I love that you're changing your mind around so many things. It's beautiful to watch, and it makes me feel so good about what I do. So all I really want you to do today is, as always, be very, very kind to yourself, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
If you're ready to take your eating issues to another higher, more improved level, well, it's time to talk to my wife, Dr. Deborah. She's helped hundreds and thousands of people. Just visit drdebbutler.com/work with me. You'll get a free consultation with Dr. Deb and find out if coaching and talking to my wife is a solution to your struggles.